Alright, so we are continuing with this project, kind of. We're not really continuing with this, we're giving up on this. Because normally I don't like giving up on a project, but with this one, I couldn't get it to work. I like how somebody said this in the comments of the last video of this project. I'm trying to have dirt bike performance and speeds with mountain biking parts, and it's kind of hard to do without upgrading pretty much everything on here. And if I really wanted to get this to work, I'd really have to upgrade pretty much everything. The brakes need upgrading, the trailing arm needs upgrading, so therefore it's not flexing under acceleration. The suspension needs upgrading, so it's like... So I really wanted to build this to be able to take this to my local mountain biking park, but halfway through building this, I noticed that they put up a bunch of signs around there saying no electric bikes, no pedal assist, no nothing out there. So even if I did get this to work, I wouldn't be able to take it to my local mountain biking park. So then what's the point of building an electric mountain bike when I can only take this to dirt bike parks? And at that point, I should just build another electric dirt bike. So that is what we're basically doing. I have a perfect YZ85 dirt bike frame that would be perfect for this motor and everything. It's a little old. It's been sitting outside for a couple of years, getting rained on, so hopefully it's not in terrible shape. But yeah, I feel like it's just going to be a lot better. It's going to work a lot better, better suspension, better brakes and everything. So yeah, let's basically just give up on this and build another electric dirt bike. Alright, so I cleaned this thing up a little bit. The rear tire was locked up. It was basically just the brake pads were frozen, so I took a screwdriver and knocked one of them out, so that got the rear tire freed up. This thing's a little old. It needs some work. Needs new tires, new brakes, new brake pads. I'm hoping the brake calipers are fine. Yeah, the seat's kind of got some holes in it somehow. For those who don't remember, this was actually my very first dirt bike. I traded this for a go-kart, and then I took the engine out of it and put it in a shifter cart, which was a blast. So, yeah, this thing's pretty old, but it should be perfect to build another electric dirt bike. So let's start taking this thing apart. I am a little bummed that we're giving up on this idea, but I think it's for the best. This was never going to work. Now, I actually wouldn't mind revisiting this idea just with a much less powerful motor, maybe with like a 2,000 or 3,000 watt motor, so therefore I can still have the pedals, still have the gears and everything. But with the 6,000 watt motor, I think it was just a little too much. So... Alright, so the first thing we need to do is swap the bicycle sprocket with this. This is a 40 series 28 tooth sprocket, so we just have to machine this to fit onto here. Now, I'm not sure if these tiny, tiny little screws is gonna be able to hold up to the torque that this motor produces because, remember, this is normally where you would mount the brake disc on this, but we're using this to mount the sprocket on here, and this has 6 of these holes that accept these tiny, tiny little screws. I'm not sure what size these are, but I'm not sure if they're gonna be strong enough, so I'm gonna be drilling these out and tapping them to 1/4-28, so therefore we can use these. You can see the size difference between these two. These are just a lot stronger. These should hopefully be able to hold up to the torque of this motor, so therefore we don't shear any bolts in half using this to mount the sprocket. So I'm just gonna drill it by hand and just be very careful. Well, it looks like I broke the tap, but luckily it's sticking out long enough to where I can actually pretty easily extract it, hopefully. But it just kind of sucks because this was my only tap that I had that I was willing to modify. Because I don't have a blind hole bottoming, whatever it's called, tap, so I just had to make one by taking a normal tap and cutting the end off. Don't break it even further. Awesome. Luckily I was able to get that out of there. Now I just gotta see if I have a new one. Alright, so ever since I've been doing these videos of this electric mountain bike project, trying to build my own, this company reached out to me, Cyrusher. They reached out to me and asked me, like, hey, do you want to try out one of our own electric mountain bikes? And of course I said yes. They gave me a couple to choose from, and I went with this one. This is their Cyrusher Ranger, which is a full suspension electric mountain bike. So yeah, let's open this box up and see what we got. It's well packaged, don't say that. Oh, wow. Damn, look at the size of that tire. So I guess I forgot that it's also a fat tire, which is awesome. Alright, let's figure out how to put it together. Use the battery pack. Now this kind of looks like mid-drive with this, but no, it is hub drive. I believe this is the controller built into right here, and this actually has a really cool feature. I believe it's called torque sensing pedal assist or something like that, to where the harder that you pedal, the more power goes to the electric motor and the faster you go. So you can kind of vary your speed by just how hard you're pedaling, which is awesome. This is a cool color. You gotta admit, the two-tone color, that looks awesome. So here's the battery, and I believe it just goes right here, clicks in. Yeah, you gotta use the key to clip the battery in place. Nice. It even comes with a little headlight. Look at this. So both front and rear shocks have total compression adjusters, rebound adjusters. Bring it to the slow setting, and yeah, look at that. Wow. Nice. My mountain bike that I have doesn't even have this. That's awesome. Totally springy. Tighten it up. Now, alright, turning it on for the first time. I think you just hold this down. Yeah, look at that. So it's got its normal, you can adjust how much pedal assist you can have, as well as it has the light, and this has a horn. It's actually pretty loud, surprisingly. As well as pedal assist, this also has a twist throttle. Nice. So, let me quickly go over some of the specs that this bike has. The motor and battery are 52 volts. The battery is 20 amp hours, so you should have a pretty good range with this thing, as well as the motor is 750 watts. This also has front and rear hydraulic disc brakes, as well as the suspension is fully adjustable. You can adjust the preload, you can adjust the compression, as well as on the rear suspension, you can lock out the rear suspension with this little blue toggle right here, which is pretty awesome. Now, they also sent us another box, so let's see what's in here. It looks like fenders, as well as like a oh wow. Look at that, that's kind of cool. It's like a luggage rack. Now, I may not add this right now because I don't really need it on here, but it's awesome that they sent this to us. I think this is a sold separately option. I don't think it comes with the bike, so, but it is pretty cool. So let's add the fenders to this thing. So I was expecting these to be made of plastic, but they definitely feel like aluminum. That's definitely aluminum. Nice. That looks awesome. I like how the fenders blend in with the tires so they don't stick out as much. So, yeah, this thing looks awesome. Now, links in the description below for this thing. Definitely go check it out. If you want to buy one of your own, I will have the links where you can find this thing in the description below. Definitely go check it out. But yeah, let's finally take this thing up the street and see what it can do. All right, let's see what this thing can do. Now we're starting on mode 5, pedal assist 5, which is the strongest and fastest it can do, just to see, we want to see what this thing's capable of. So, all right, let's see what pedal assist is like going up this hill. Whoa. Man, that made it super easy to go up that hill.
Yeah, for only 750 watts, this thing's actually pretty fast. So I'm curious how fast this will go with just the throttle, just a twist throttle. So make sure there's no cars. Just twist throttle only. 15. 18. It seems to be limited but to 20. Now it's going faster. 25. Also, the torque sensing pedals is pretty awesome. The harder I pedal, the faster this motor tries to push me. Man, that made that super easy climbing that hill. Yeah, this thing's pretty fun. So because it's only 750 watts, it's actually street legal. You can legally ride this on the roads, depending on your state. So this is totally, as far as I'm aware, totally street legal. So. Let's see how fast it'll go. 36. Yeah, this thing is, it's a lot of fun. So because it's only limited to 750 watts, is a 750 watt hub motor, it's actually street legal. You can perfectly ride this on the streets and, you know, depending on your state and depending on certain laws. But as far as I'm aware, around here, you can totally ride this on the road. I could ride this in town if I wanted to. So that's pretty awesome. So it seemed like with throttle only, this went up to 25 miles an hour, I think. And with the pedal assist, it went up to, I think, 30. Then I got it up to 35 just by pedaling a little bit harder. So for being a road bike, that's pretty, I'm really curious what this thing will do on actual mountain bike trails. I honestly hate wearing helmets, but felt like I had to demonstrate safety. Gotta be safe with these things, you know? One wrong move can change your life. Yeah, don't forget, links in the description below as well as discount code for you guys. Definitely go check it out in the description below.
Now, for this one, because we're not wanting to use pedals and we're using a much smaller tire, this is going to be a lot easier to set this up. Now, I think the only way for this to really work properly is if we mount the motor on the swing arm, so therefore we don't have any issues of the chain loosening and tightening with the suspension moving up and down because of how large this motor is. And the pivot point for the swing arm is just going to have to be somewhere right along here. So it should still technically be sprung weight and not be unsprung weight. So it should still kind of work and everything. Now, I'm not going to make the same mistake twice of mounting this motor way too low to the ground and having almost no ground clearance. I'm going to be mounting this motor on the top of the swing arm and then mounting the swing arm at a pretty good angle, so therefore it should be pretty high up in the frame. It's just for now, I just have to lay everything out flat to figure out how I'm going to get this setup to work. So I think first, let's figure out how we're connecting the the tire to the swing arm and how we're moving it back and forth to tension the chain. All right, so we quickly machined this. We're going to be using these for the pivoting point of this swing arm. Basically just, I think it's called Teflon impregnated plastic. Machine's great, and it works great for bushing material. So basically just going to weld that in there. And we need to figure out how long we want this swing arm. We definitely don't want it too long. We need it long enough to fit the motor and everything, but we definitely don't want it. It's not a hill climb vehicle. We don't need this thing like 2.5 feet long. So now I also need to figure out how we're connecting these together. Basically just figure out how long it is, and cut a big notch right here, and then add a taper to this side, and everything. As well as I need to figure out how because I need these to be closer together on this side, so therefore it fits in the frame better. So I need to figure out how I'm doing that. Yeah, it'll make more sense once it's done. Now, the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm like, it's a little too far apart from, the pivot point is too far from the motor. We want the weight of this motor as close as possible to the pivot point, which the closer it is, the more it acts as sprung weight versus unsprung weight. And this distance is just a little bit too far apart. So I'm going to move this down about 2 inches, and I think the best way to do that, instead of cutting a new notch over here and just recutting this angle, which would make this a little bit too short. I like the proportions that this is. I think I'm just going to cut these welds and then cut 2 inches off of this, and then just move all this down 2 inches, so that way we can keep these proportions and everything. We also have to move the motor up 1/2 inch because we need a little bit more space in between here and here, because we need to add something in between there to strengthen the swing arm from flexing this way. Yeah, we definitely want the weight of the motor on the main chassis versus the tire, so we need to try to get these as close as possible to each other.
Yeah, that looks a lot better.
Alright, this thing's slowly taking shape. Now, I wanted to do all the welding in the middle of the swing arm before we weld on the pivot points on this end because I didn't want to weld these on, weld this, and then have these warp because normally this stuff warps a lot when you weld it. So I wanted to do this before welding these on, so therefore we can get all the warp out of it and then weld these in place because we need to make sure that they're perfectly aligned and because if they're off by a little bit, then it's going to create, issues of the suspension binding up and everything. So, yeah, I am really glad I shortened it because it was just way too long before. Now, I'm not sure if I've already said this, but the gearing that I've chosen between the motor and the tire is almost 1-to-1. It is the sprocket on the motor is a 28-tooth sprocket. The sprocket on the tire is a 30-tooth sprocket, so the tire has 2 teeth more. Plus, with the slightly smaller size of this tire, should give us a lot better acceleration and all that kind of stuff. It's going to limit our top speed, but for this vehicle, I don't think we really need a super high top speed. I'd rather have more acceleration, more torque to the wheels and all that kind of stuff. Plus, we can also play around with the gearing if we really want to slow it down more or put a bigger sprocket on the tire more. But we can play around with it, but right now the gearing is almost 1-to-1. And I think that's going to be pretty good for this vehicle. Now, next video we get to finish the swing arm. We need to mount this motor onto the swing arm. We don't need to make it adjustable, which is going to be nice because the tire is already adjustable, so we can tension the chain with that. We need to weld the pivot points onto here, and then also the mount for the rear brake, and then the swing arm is pretty much done. Then we get to start stripping the dirt bike frame and figuring out how we're modifying the frame to get this swing arm to work with this, and also figuring out where the battery is going to go. So guess that's it for this video. Don't forget, use the discount code for the Cyrusher Ranger electric mountain bike that we tested in this video. Links in the description below for that. Definitely go check that out. But yeah, guess that's it for this video. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see you in the next video.